All right, let me see. Okay, so dollar's at a very interesting spot. Like, I pulled out of a lot of my EU sells today because I wasn't paying attention to the daily here. Let me tell you guys what I'm seeing. So obviously, right, we're still bearish, right? Whether you want to consider this to be the high of the leg and then this to be the low of the leg, it's still bearish. Okay, and even though we've already seen this expansion move to the upside, it doesn't really make sense for me to assume that this is going to continue to break this, right? Because if you want to consider this to be a quote-unquote swing range, it's more like a swing range, whereas, you know, these are your major intraday legs here, right? Remember, just because we broke the initial pretty much the initial level of structure, right, doesn't necessarily mean we're in a reversal. It just necessarily means that we're in the beginning of a pullback. So I'm still confident in this bearish bias. I see, you know, you could even say that this is stimulus coming into play, but I mean, a stimulus at this point is only short-term growth for long-term instability, unless the Fed can, you know, get their shit together. But like, it doesn't make sense for me to assume that we're bullish, right? So even though I was selling, right, you know, so you see how that kind of conflicts itself, me selling an intraday bias, right, whereas my entire bias is still bearish, well, bullish on EU, right? So it's like, you know, it makes me kind of hesitate, so because it's hard to justify even though it's a short-term trade. But anyways, right, what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing that, right, I'm seeing a potential SC here inside of this daily time frame candle, but it's and it's cool because even though the SC is here, right, you now see this wick take out this previous candle, right? So now it's like you see something like this, right? And we've already given that reaction, right? So once we're going into our smaller time frame, right, and we're looking at maybe a minor intraday structure, we see consistency in terms of our bullishness, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 6 higher lows, right, which generate bullish order flow, right? Right, because even though we broke the initial level of structure there, the leg was still intact. Why? Because this point took out pretty much that level of structure there. But yeah, even though you saw this break of structure, you still saw this continue, right? New range, continuation, right? And then we see the initial levels of structure break, and you see essentially the reversal begin, right? So in terms of major intraday, this is bullish. Bro, how do I always do that? All right. Okay. So, right, our major intraday is bullish, per se, okay? But just because our major intraday is bullish, we gotta recognize that our swing is bearish, right? So when our major intraday is bullish and our swing is bearish, right, then I'm naturally starting to think that the major intraday can start showing signs of reversal through that minor intraday, through those scalping structures, because obviously that's what's needed initially to then create a reversal move. So as we're starting to, especially because we've seen this expansive move with our major intraday, I'm more so looking to see if I have an excuse to risk in the opposite direction, right? Because I'm trying to align with the swing structure, and if the swing structure aligns and I get a good entry, then I have really good targets to aim for, you know? And that's, you know, obviously with how we enter, right, with minimal stop losses, right, you're now looking at bigger term targets with shorter term stop losses, and that develops high RR per se, you know? That's kind of how that was derived. But anyways, our minor intraday, I'm sorry, right? So our final leg was taken, right? And we're currently inside of this immediate range and this full leg, right? So we've already came back to mitigate a previous inefficiency here, right? Because it's obviously a turbulence point, but right, there's still a possibility that we can even come back up here, or even maybe come back here, because I mean, I'm just pointing that out because I see wicks, and you could even see something there, but the security of this isn't too big because it's being derived from the M5. So I'm wanting to see if we're going to come back into a premium and see some type of setup during London to then take this lower. And the reason why I'm leaning towards that is because I'm also seeing this. I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive quote-unquote mitigations. I'm going to call them mitigations. They could be considered higher lows too, but they haven't really necessarily created a new structure. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4 mitigations. That is extremely weak to me because it's taking 99% retracement, 99% retracement, 90% retracement. It's taking extensively deep retracements to give this move a upwards move. So this to me is weak order flow, and it's showing signs of potential instability. Yeah, inside of the H1 inefficiency, that's another good one. Yeah, see, there could be the 50%, right? And the cool thing about the 50% is the 50% lines up with this wick here, and I think that's a higher, is that a higher term? Yeah, see, probably balled that. So you see how this 8-hour essentially lines up with this inefficiency here, and that 8-hour lines up with that, which is being here, which that lines up with the 50%. So that could even be another possibility. But anyways, right, because I'm seeing this weak order flow. So best case, I'd like to see that expansive move to the upside, take out those intraday structures, potentially turbulence point there, take that out, take that liquidity, right? Remember, liquidity is a fuel. So I'm trying to get that liquidity. I'm trying to get a setup, right? And best case, you get something there, and you could see that reversal. And even though it's still considered high risk, I think it makes a lot of sense because keep in mind, right, even though we saw these initial levels of structure break, right, remember this is still the full leg, right? We came back to maybe mitigate something here. You can see the wick here, that wick there came back to be mitigated. That created no essential bullish reaction, right? So this is now unwillingness, right? So because this is unwillingness, I know this is potentially a turbulence point that created a lower move. So we could even see a type of retracement into this relative area, but I'm really thinking reversal now because I think this could be showing its hand right here, right? But it's a completely different picture on EU, right? And let me show you guys that. Because with EU, right, obviously this is the position. I'm going to go over that in a bit. But in terms of bias, right, I hate that this happened during Asia, right, because it didn't make a lot of sense to me where it reacted from. And I tried kind of looking back, and where it reacted from didn't make a lot of sense to me. So this could be an unsustained move, right, which is why I pursued the sell, right? But theoretically, the sell would have made sense if we mitigated this, right? So because we took that out, I could kind of reference that as a disruption, right? Because this isn't mitigating anything. But if you zoom out, it's like if you zoom out, you see that we filled an inefficiency there, right? So that pretty much in the back of my mind, even though we took out an H1 POI, we did react from an H4 POI. So you see, so that kind of gave me a little bit more security with that. And that's what kind of made sense to me with the bearish bias. Because, for example, right, looking at our minor intraday, right, that's a break of structure, point of invalidation, right? So, right, when I was trying to trade here, during, right, you see around 8:30, right after the H4, right, my initial POI, right, was trying to play essentially off of this, right? I tried to assume that this, right, with a mitigation there and the inefficiency fill, you could see that pretty much right there, right? I thought that would have been a clear sign of reversal, and I took my position here, right? But obviously that didn't work out. I got pretty much came into what, 1, 2, like 3-4 pips in profit, and then that took me out, and I'm just like, oh, okay, whatever, let's see what happened. All right, so this release here, right, wasn't showing its hand, right, because I should have referenced, you know, the fact that we took this high out, bullish structure is intact, right? I should have referenced that, but because I'm referencing this break of structure, right, you guys can see where I made my mistake there. But in reality, this move wasn't showing its hand. It was actually a mitigation. Which was right here. Which was right, you see this M15 wick here, come back, immediately reject, right? Essentially means there's an SC in here, and the move, right, so you see my POI there, it actually came back to mitigate that wick there, right? And so that created another move, which then led to a quote-unquote break of structure. But, right, as we're seeing here, right, let's see. Right, could have been a scam, and by that I meant, right, we had our essentially preliminary supply and blank climax, right, even though it's very, very quote unquote sloppy, right, automatic rally, you could say this is an upthrust, a UTAD, right, and then we see LPSY. The LPSY to me here served as unwillingness, right, because we could have seen a mitigation here, which didn't lead to a new higher high. Inevitably, this caused a disruption here, right? So even though essentially this could be considered a mitigation of this candle here, you can see it already mitigated once, so it came to mitigate twice. So that to me is disruption. So right, because I see that as disruption, right, I took my position off of the M1 SC right there. Right, so it just made a lot of sense. It's high probable, right? I'm playing based off of a liquidity grab because we took out this high. We struggled to continue higher. We gave no substantial new high. We gave an unwillingness. We gave a mitigation, and it made sense because we were playing based off of the initial break of structure. So our point of invalidation was never touched, right? So it just fit the line. It fit the criteria, and it immediately went to TP1 here, TP1 intraday target, right? Which is like a 1 to 7-ish. I think it's like a 2 pip stop. Yeah, 2 pip stop. 24 pip. It's like a 12 to 1 to 12. I'm sorry. And yeah, right now it's been a bit of a shit show. I actually closed a bit of my position. Well, I closed most on one position, and I closed a small piece on the other because I saw this here. Right, this is obviously we're still inside of the immediate range. I would have wanted to see this continue to roll over. Because if it doesn't, then we could see a liquidity grab because we just took out a substantial low, created a reaction. So I wanted to be absolutely sure. And because we're in this immediate range, right, you could say it's a turbulence point. We came back into the turbulence point here, right, gave a reaction, gave a mitigation, right, gave a reaction, gave another mitigation, right. So there's too many consecutive mitigations here without creating a new low. So this is weak order flow. Right, so as soon as this was being taken out, I actually partialed out because there's a good chance that my position could have been taken out because this would now be seen as a liquidity grab, break of structure, continuation, right? So yeah, that's pretty much right how it is right now. But ideally, right, my target was down here, was to previous low here. But the thing is too is like this isn't considered to be equal lows. This is not seen as liquidity because let me turn this on. Right, as you can see, right, this wick, we cleared the wick, gave a reaction, right? No, maybe disruption there, right? But we came back to mitigate something there. And if you want to be, you see, if you want to be a lot more meticulous about it, right, you can see the body here. Body pushed down, took out this wick, right? Keep in mind that this entire range barely took this out, then reacted, right? We came back to mitigate, right? But we then mitigated again. So this is disruption. It doesn't make sense, right? So naturally we came back, mitigated here, and that caused the bullish reaction. So technically it's not equal lows, right? But yeah, I'm very interested in buys, right? Even though that was my initial target was to go lower, because I actually wanted to come down here, which was a H1 wick, right? And if we were to come down here, then I have zero doubt now that I could take a long position, you know, anywhere here. So it's like 50-50. I think we'll see something in London, if not definitely New York tomorrow, because tomorrow's Wednesday. And if we're going to get a reversal, right, keep in mind, right, I pointed this out. This is the weekly time frame. I've pointed this out because this is the weekly time frame, right? This is the wick there, right there, right? That's the wick. So this is a very, very crucial point. If this breaks, if this point here breaks, then I'm pretty much done buying like that. And I hope that doesn't happen, right? Because it kills the entire bias. So I'm just like, you know, it has to react here because it makes sense based on my bias, right? Because if we're talking legs here, right, this is my discount, right? Just eyeballing it, it looks like my equilibrium's here. Yeah, see, almost got that. But anyways, it's like I know that we're in a discount, right? So I should be looking for long-term buys, right? So the thing is I hope I get the bottom, but the thing is now is where is it going to react, you know? Because this reaction, right, if this was going to be bearish, if this was going to hit our target, I think it would have already hit our target, right? So I think that we are now just setting up for a correction to then go higher. And I think that we can easily see an inefficiency fill, you know, to continue higher. So it make a lot of sense. It make a lot of sense also for DXY to turn around, right? Because we did just have a daily bearish engulfing off of a potential POI, which we stated, you know, earlier, right? Potential POI, where was that wick there? And we see an engulfing. And then here we're starting to see bullish signs, especially because remember, this could still be an aspect where this wick here is actually a disruption of bearish order flow, and we could just be recuperating to then go higher finally. And I mean, I think it just makes a lot of sense. I don't think we'll reach this wick. Who knows? But I guess you just have to break it down there. Who knows? Maybe it can. That would be the best case for me. But because then if we reach down here, then that means that we reach up here. So who knows? I'm very, very excited. I hope this you know goes our way, because I've been waiting for this buy we've been waiting for this buy for what, like 3 months, and I've been super patient. Yeah, since December. It's been 3 months. Late December. And I guess it makes sense too. The quarter ends this month. You know, this could have been just a recovering quarter, right? Because look at when this moved, September, right? So September. So December. So September is the end of Q3, right? Unless I'm mistaken, right? September is the end of Q3. Right? Can somebody confirm that? Because then it's October, November, December. Right, so it should be the end of Q3. Yeah, okay, so it's the end of Q3, right? Notice what happened at the end of Q3. Right, at the end of Q3, we had a liquidity grab, and then we had an expansive move for Q4. And then look at what happened in Q1. You know, we saw this bearish move. So who's to say that in Q2 we don't see an expansive move to the upside to where we take out these targets? you know. I just think it makes a lot of sense. Like, I may be just trying to justify what I'm, you know, what I want, but I think it makes sense. But let's see how that 3 month. Yeah, I mean, this is still bullish. You know, we still have a whole month, and we could even get a really good closure there. But yeah, I really want to start testing up here, and that's 1,000 pips away. You know, imagine if I held these buys though. That would be sick. When we called that bottom. But yeah, anyways, EURGBP, I haven't traded it. I don't want to trade this. Like, you know, the move has already happened. The move we've wanted already is happening. I'm sorry, it hasn't already happened, but it's happening. And like, it doesn't look like this wants to recover anytime soon. So like, if this continues lower, right? Remember, like I said, I didn't want to look at this because I didn't want to buy it. Well, this is why. Like, as you can see, this is wanting to continue lower. So if this continues lower, then we now have a new structural range here, meaning that POIs up here do not realistically make sense. You know, and this is why I guess we were talking about this sell-off, because once it sells off, it's gonna sell off pretty hard. You know, like just look at schematics when they play out. Like even the EU trade today, right? Obviously, an M1 schematic is nothing compared to a couple-year-old schematic, right? But if you notice, after very crucial schematics or valid schematics, you see very, very impulsive moves, right? So right here, right, M1 distribution, right, M1 result. But in terms of an M1 result, this is still a pretty big move if I'm not, you know, mistaken, right? So you see distribution, you see the release, and the release is very impulsive. You don't see stuff like this. Why? Because theoretically, logically, it doesn't make sense. Because what is a distribution? The conversion of demand to supply. Oh, did I say that right? Yeah, from demand to supply, and it's vice versa for accumulation, from supply to demand, right? Because that conversion is occurring, right? Once it's completed, the release occurs, and it doesn't theoretically make sense for it to give you that structured movement. It should just theoretically melt, right? Another example. Right, what happened to this after this finally gave the move after a 6-month accumulation, right? Very impulsive move, right? Obviously, this had structure inside of it because it's a 3-month time frame, but you see what I mean, right? So it just makes a lot of sense. But yeah, do you guys have any questions? Any questions, concerns? Yeah, so honestly, I might even take EG off the list. Like, I don't see a reason for me to trade it. You know, it doesn't make sense. Like, and the thing is too is like, yes, you can try to catch a continuation to maybe aim down here, but it's like you're selling at a discount. You know, it's very tough to justify unless you see this. You know, this unless you see, you know, this move to the downside, and then maybe here could be a POI, you know, who knows, right? Only reason why I'm saying that is because you see a push up and then a push down and then a continuation, so there could be something. But yeah, anyways, yeah, what's GU doing? Is GU still going up? No, it's being stupid, I guess. Yeah, I don't like when you see these Asian moves. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty sloppy too. Alright, who's to say? That'd be cool. Equalos. That'd be cool. You could even see the breaker structure here, and then just bring it lower. But yeah, I mean, I think we're in a very interesting position to be in right now. Right. So even though there is liquidity there, Right? I know I said that, but don't take that to heart, right? Because if you want to have the counter argument, you could see this as a disruption, right? And you come back to potential POI and then go higher, right? So just be open, be dynamic. But yeah, any questions? Anything you guys want to talk about? We've only been on here for 25 minutes. I also want to start posting in a blog on the website. Right, I want to start making more of these posts. I think it'd be really cool. I think I have a knack for writing, so let's see if I actually, can do something cool with this. And I could talk about really cool topics. You guys can probably even be the ones to give me the topics. But I really want to make like a blog here where you just speak and speak and speak. I think it's cool. I think it's good. It's great value, not for trading, but for, as an individual. I think we'd have to change this though, because I don't want to talk about trading on the blog. But yeah, other than that, does anybody have any questions? $24 people on call today. When you're not thinking about trading or education, what goes through your mind most of the time? I don't know, bro. I don't like to think about a lot of stuff, if that makes sense. Like, I'm literally look, whether it's, oh shit, what did I do? Right? Whether it's trading, whether it's soccer, whether it's rehab, whether it's the gym, it's just like, I try not to think too hard about stuff. You ever heard the lazy person always finds the shortcuts? Well, he's right. But yeah, what goes through my mind? Nothing. If I'm being honest. Like, I don't stress, bro. Like, if I have 2 tests this week, I have to do 3 quizzes before that test this week. I also have to work on videos. I have to trade. I have to go to the gym. I have to take care of a lot of stuff with, here at home. But it's like, whatever, I'm going to get it done. Like, why do I need to think so hard about it? Are you reading any book at the moment? No, because I haven't had time. Like, I've even been slacking on my meditation. Like, see, like today, like I'm coming back from the gym like at 6:30, and I'm over here like rushing to make some food while I'm also trying to shower, while I'm also trying to get the charts up for you guys. Do you play in a club? No, I just play amateur now, bro. I just play amateur now. Whether it's with my cousin, whether it's with an uncle, whether it's I don't play like that anymore. Yeah, I gave up college ball. I gave all that up just because I care more for my health now. And the team I was on honestly sucks now. Like, every year that I was at that school, it got worse and worse. And now they're like 0-4 because the coach is absolutely terrible. So, I love the guys, but I'm extremely happy that I made that decision. Do you ask yourself any questions about what you see? Something like, oh yeah, bro, I question everything. Like, I'm super aware in person. Like I don't, like, when somebody's talking to me, like, I don't listen to half the shit you say, if I'm being honest. I'm literally just observing. I'm looking through my observations. I don't know if that's because, like, my focus, like, I'm unable to focus, but I'm usually, like, because I'm so used to, I guess, trying to do so many things at once, I guess now I just become very aware and I start looking at everything around me, and I don't know if that's what you mean. like I'm always looking around my surroundings. I'm always like, you know, looking this and this. Not that I'm being cautious. I'm just being aware. You can take. You can What's it called? You can unmute yourself if you want, bro.
Got sorry, I just typed it in, so I think that should be good.
Let me see. Um, let's see. Yeah, like the observation. Yeah, like I'm always very. I'm always looking around. You know, like I'm trying. Like I'm not staring at people, right? Like that's fucking weird. But like I'm looking at different people. Like I'm saying like, oh, this person's doing this. Um, I gotta like then at the same time I'm like, oh, I gotta go to class in 20 minutes. Oh, I got a text message. Oh, like I'm just being observant. I'm being very like in the moment per se. Like that's something I've really worked on this year is just focus on in the moment. Right? Yesterday already happened. I can worry about tomorrow. Right? Favorite finance classes at UTA. I mean, it's my first semester at UTA. It just depends, bro. Like I don't like online classes, but the online classes that I got were pretty lucky. So rate my professor should be like your best friend, bro. Like I literally like I don't know anybody at UTA. I don't know anybody, and that's like so everything I'm doing by myself. So I'm just trying to be as efficient as I can. You know, trying to get the best professors. Organizing myself with my planner. Like I have my planner right here. I have every single assignment, the due date, and I'm checking it at least twice a week.
I can ask you a question, Fredo. Like, why do you want to? It's just me. Why do you want to go and, I guess, trade for a fund if uh, you have the potential to make so much money being independent?
Well, you also got to think about it, bro. Like for example, if you ever meet an 8 to 9 figure trader, it's a completely different experience as if you're like a 6 figure, 5 figure, 4 figure trader. Um, but I mean, I also like I do this because I like it, you know. Like, and if I like something, I'm gonna figure out every single detail about it, right? How do you think we came up with this model, you know, where we can now find exactly to the pip moves, you know? That's because I took the time to actually derive everything, to actually simplify everything, to actually make it all make sense, but to more importantly, um, find what works, you know? And who's to say that going into the fund space won't benefit me more, whether that's with trading, whether that's with connections, whether that's with more money, whether that's like your networking part is I think very crucial. And I think that as you're growing your network, going into that type of space with the credibility that I already have now, then you add a degree, you add a couple licenses, right? I can make some very, very powerful friends per se.
So, education in this space is more about your passion than, I guess,
Yeah,
the
of
monetary
course,
value you
100%,
get.
100%, bro. If you're in school and you don't want to be in school, get the fuck out of school. Straight up, get the fuck out of school because you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money, you're wasting your energy. Right? Energy is the most important one.
And
Like,
are you? Go ahead.
like I've
Sorry.
switched my major 3 times, bro, and because of that, I'm ending my bachelor's in 6 years, not 4 years. Yeah, I hurt my pockets, but I mean, it's a learning experience. But I definitely don't want anybody to go through the same thing.
No, I think I'm in the same boat as you. I went to A&M originally, but
Uh huh.
um, being living with my parents, I guess the college life got to me too hard. I got kicked out because of low grades. My GPA was like 0.75.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it went pretty south really quickly, but I came back to Dallas, DCC, and it's been about a year and a half now. So my GPA is back up to 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, for me, it's just, um, it's I've never liked being too public in the sense like I want to help people, but I don't want to feel like I'm taking monetary advantage of them if I learn trading. You know what I mean?
What do you
Like
mean? Wait,
I
wait.
just
Can you go deeper into that, please?
I think it's I'm not a good it takes a long time for me to grasp um, any learning topic because I rely more on context clues and like face to face than just reading a book or something like that. So like to do a course or something like that, if it takes that long time for me, I really doubt if I can help. I doubt myself a lot in the sense that can I help the next person with what I learned? So that's why I see myself like not really being that good of an educator, I guess, in the trading space.
Well, for one, it's like here's something that applies to like everything. It's like if if you don't if for one if you aren't good, there's no way in any world that you're gonna help anybody else. That's a one. That's number one,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's all it is to it. Is like if you aren't good yourself, you gotta first, like if you're wanting to teach trading, right? Here's the thing. You first gotta know your shit. You gotta have results. You gotta have people backing you up because that gives you credibility, right? And two, you gotta be able to replicate what you're using, right? So like that's actually like the hardest part for me per se. um, like trying to explain most of the stuff that I see, and that's like a skill that you have to develop. Um,
Yes.
and whether that's educator for trading, whether that's educator for with being a teacher, with that's being with even mentoring your little brother, like it's all the same thing.
Yeah. I think some of that journey is gonna get better as the more experience I build. So
You
right
also gotta have a
now,
purpose. You also gotta have a purpose, bro. Like the purpose of RCV wasn't to make money. Like,
I don't want to think of my purpose as I don't know if this is right or wrong. I don't want to think of my purpose as simply for monetary purpose in the
mm-hmm.
sense that I just want to make a lot of money because that's gonna get extreme. That's gonna get old really quickly. Um, my bigger purpose is my family to put it. So that's anytime I think of adversity or I feel like I'm facing adversity, that's what I think of when my purpose comes into mind is how I want to make sure my family is well.
Mm-hmm. And
So
how is that
go.
tied to teaching?
It's in with terms of teaching, it's more like what I want to do going forward. I've the thought of dropping out has not come to my mind once because I still think that I need to know. I need to at least try to know what I don't know, and I've always been interested in investment banking and the fund space. So
Mm-hmm.
it was never really about I guess it just comes to me like sometimes when I'm starting from nothing to going on to being something to going to want to be someone I get easily blindsided by I guess how much monetary value people are creating in the teaching space like sometimes that almost feels like a shortcut to me which I'm not saying that it is a shortcut but just seeing I've tuned out a lot of people on Instagram now and it's made it better but like especially last year at the end towards the end I used to have like so much FOMO because people in the educate like the trading educating space were making like killer money just
Mm-hmm.
educating people and I know for a fact like 40 or 50% of them barely knew what they were talking about.
Yeah, and how are the reviews going? Outside of
It's
like I'm pretty sure you couldn't name five legit groups out there outside of ours, right? So when you're
this
thinking
is
about money, no, hold on. When you're thinking about money, right? Yes, it's a lot of money, but a lot of these guys are willing to give up their ethical values to achieve that money, and that money is indirectly now making you FOMO and trying to get you in that same loop and that is, how shitty this niche is, right? So you have to look beyond that, look for a purpose, right? Because the purpose behind RCV isn't just to make money, isn't just to essentially meet new people, but it's to create a network. Like in this group, we have anywhere from software engineers to website developers to people that are into coding to I've even had a doctor before, I'm building a network because I'm thinking long term, which is why I'm not going to teach for more than a year, 2 years from now, right? Because I'm looking to make that network, and that's the long term picture, right? The money is going to come regardless, whether it's trading, whether it's businesses, whether it's um, any other type of source of income, whether it's networking, it's going to come through. But I know at the end of the day, like, the money with teaching is good, but I'm thinking long term.
Yeah, and
And that's sustainability.
And I can see that now. Now you've just, I guess, somewhat made it a bit more clear because I never really looked at it in the sense that I was networking with the group chat. But now that you've said that, I think it's somewhat opened a little bit of my spectrum a lot better.
Yeah, bro.
Thank you.
Money's poison, bro. Money's poison. The first time I
It
ever
is.
saw good money in my life was the beginning of last year, like January of last year. This is before RCV opened. And I swear, like, I spent like 80% of those funds within 3 weeks. And it just got old real quick, you know? So that's when you realize money's poison. Money doesn't get you anywhere. Well, it does get you somewhere, but it really begins to cloud your judgment.
That's true. I'm experiencing that still somewhat,
Mm-hmm.
but journey. So I'm in the journey, and right now I'm just enjoying every bit of it.
Exactly. And then for example, right, you now see the money come in, right? You then start to see the FOMO start to come into play, and now trading is eating at you. So what are you going to do then? How do you prepare yourself for that? How are you going to essentially fix the situation once that happens, right? But the thing is a lot of people won't tell you that.
No, they won't.
Exactly, because many people don't go through it because obviously, you know.
I guess some of the people they tell themselves too that they're not going through it. They lie to
Yeah,
themselves.
that's the step one of depression, denial. Right?
Yeah.
Sergio told me that. Fucking asshole.
I just wanted to express my gratitude as well
Yeah,
because
bro, don't sweat it.
was, sometimes when you're going through things and everybody, it feels like when you're in the learning stage and everybody's 10 steps ahead. I was going through some of the end
Oh,
part of
really? How
course.
do you know they're 10 steps ahead?
Oh well, it's in terms of figuratively, like where I know that I am, and I guess
So that means
where
you're applying pressure to yourself for no reason.
yes, that's true.
And can you
Um,
justify it?
I'm sorry.
Can you justify why you're doing that?
It's
Like,
it's just the play of emotions running through my head
exactly.
at any moment.
Exactly.
Because
So step one is awareness. Step two is cutting it from the root.
yeah,
Like I don't look. I see results in RCV every single day, right? But you don't see me like preaching like every single person that sees results. Why? Because at the end of the day, I don't know what's going on behind Discord, and I care more to see you succeed over time than just succeed every once in a while, if that makes sense. Um,
no,
and that's just something I learned through seeing people not only on Instagram but in real life, right? You'll see people's lives fall apart just because they see a bit of success and they fuck themselves over.
gotcha.
And
Yeah,
it's sad to see, bro. It's something that's sad to see. Like, I genuinely hate to see it.
my main thing. I think one of the biggest things, apart from the trading aspect, that I got out of this is to really not. I don't really dwell on the past. I'd rather somewhat, I guess, create unnecessary worries for myself about what's going to happen
Mm-hmm.
because I fell down once really bad and I
Everybody
came.
has.
Yeah, I'm coming up from it. I saw that's why the tweet about rock bottom that you tweeted resonated. But it's I guess it's just that I'm going through it. It's not an overnight change, but
Mm-hmm. But as long as you're aware.
yes, that's now it's the part that I'm working on, which is now that I figured out what I need to work on is
Like you need to
actually
find the root.
getting yes.
Like you could say your root is, well, for example, what would you say your issue is then?
It's um I've it's I think if I were to take a step back and look, 99% of any sort of any sort of conflict in my life comes down to me being overly emotional in any aspect. I think that is something that I need to get a control of because sometimes I overstress over like say like my mom's business isn't doing too well. Sometimes I use that as a stress factor and start building emotion on that, thinking worrying about my mom. Or sometimes if I'm having a hard time completing everything I need to, like for example, I grinded through it, but I was watching the course and I had like 5 assignments all on the same day. So any little thing like that is cause for emotion for me. And I think as soon as I lose even a little bit of emotional strength, sometimes it just unravels.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yep. It's. I think it's all with time too. Like I can tell you this, and this, and that, but at the end of the day, it's gonna take time too. Um, but also, you also gotta realize like most of the shit that you worry about, like, is it something you can control or is it something you can't control?
Yeah, about 99% of it is something that well, it's I can control it. It's just I need to push myself a
Then
little
control it.
bit.
Then
It's
control it. That's end of story. Control it.
yeah, that's the journey I'm on right now.
Exactly. And if it's something you can't worry about, then why are you worrying about it? I mean, if it's something you can't control, then why are you worrying about it?
Yeah, it's again, it's getting that I'm drilling that in my head now. It's just that's the journey I'm on.
Yeah,
So I
bro.
just wanted to share
You
that
just. I think you have to be a lot more rational too.
I don't really understand what you
Rational.
mean
All
by
right.
that.
Let me teach you a new word today. Rational. Rational. Rationality. Okay. Rationality. What does that say?
Quality of being based on or in accordance with reason or logic.
And what is the number one thing that I stress in the group with trading?
Logic.
Why?
Because that allows, as far as I say, I
It
think
allows
my
justification.
yes, it allows us to
So,
think
if you think
about
rationally, right, in terms of real life, if you can't control something, you can't justify why you should be worrying about it,
yes,
right? So, it's easy as that. Don't think too hard about it, right? And that's it. You just move on. Shit happens. Cool. Move on. Right? Like I could lose $500 tomorrow. Cool. What happened? That's whatever. You know. Like back in the day, that used to stress me the fuck out. But now it's like it's cool.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Emotion. Yeah. EQ. Emotional quotient. EQ. EQ is a good thing. Yeah. EQ is a really good thing. A lot of people don't talk about that. Emotional intelligence. Emotional quotient. Yeah, Sergio talks a lot about that on his Zooms, I think. Let's see. I know somebody asked a question. How competitive is it in the U.S.? I have no clue, bro, because every school that I've been to has been in-state. And because I'm in-state and because I was in the top 5% of my high school class, I can go to any college in school, any school pretty much in the state that I want. So getting into a school isn't hard for me, and I still get government help. for the most part. I mean, I should this next year because I filed independent, but who knows?
Planning to work in Dallas after graduation, Fredo?
I don't know. I haven't thought too hard about that. Yeah, like I'm just like like it's cool to set goals. Like I've personally never set like a year goal, a 5 year goal, 3 year goal. I've never done that. Yeah, because you're an international, it's a lot different. Yeah, when you're an international, it's such a pain in the ass. If I'm being serious, to not only get the admission but to also get that visa.
Wait, but how are you? If do you your trading profits? Do you put that as personal income or from the LLC?
Well, this year's gonna be LLC.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering
You
the same
shouldn't. You
thing.
shouldn't. If you can get an LLC, get an LLC. Don't do that personally. Because if now per se the only real income I have is the RCV that I pay myself out every week, and guess what? I get a tax return. And you just gotta know how to finesse the system. But yeah, can we end it off here? Are we good?
Thanks again, man.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. So can we end it off here? Cool. So yeah, hopefully EU plays out. That'd be really nice. But yeah, I'll see you guys on Saturday.